How about Conference USA? We mentioned this earlier. It is North Texas, UAB in the NIT Championship, and it's also Florida Atlantic in the Final Four. And we're joined by a great friend of the show, Grant McCasland, head coach at North Texas, with us with Paul Craig, and I'm David Smoke. Congratulations. What in the world did you do to shut them out for like the last half of the second half?
Smokey, what's up, brother? Hey, no, you know what? We've actually done it several times to people, and maybe for long stretches. We've had several times we've had a lot of minutes. We've held people scoreless. Man, our guys are just committed to that end of the floor. One of our favorite sayings in a timeout, and Coach Hodge, our associate head coach, who's in charge of the defense, is unreal. And whenever we get a lead, he'll come into a timeout and say, "We have enough points." So the mindset is like, hey, once we get a lead, then it's theoretically possible that we can keep them from not ever scoring again. So I love our group. They bought into it. We got a bunch of tough guys.
I like that. Remember the Titans, not one more yard going into the basketball realm of it. Grant, you are one of the many now branches on the Scott Drew coaching tree. Is there a competition between all you guys now with who can have the best postseason? Because it's been a wild ride for all of you.
Yeah, no, that's what makes Coach Drew great. You know that. I mean, there's nobody that sets the tone for support like him. He just loves people genuinely. He's happy for people's success. He celebrates other people well. And, I mean, I think that's the joy that Coach has established as a part of his program, and then how we should lead ours. And that's what it's about. I mean, the moment you put something in your heart that you're competitive with someone that you love, that you're close to, that you've gone through adverse situations with, like we did at Baylor, and successes, I think you just learn to celebrate each other. And that's the Scott Drew way. And I know we all think the same. And, you know, at first, I think you try to, if I'm being honest, you think like, hey, we got to be great, and you're trying to live up to the standard. But what you quickly realize is the more you support each other. And I've talked to Mills quite a bit this year and over the last few years about our teams. And I really think there's a camaraderie in how do we help each other get better. Now, Tang and Coach Drew got a little different deal because they're playing against each other. So, but we won't play Mills, and you know, all that changes it. I would guess a little bit. Man, what a great example Coach Drew is to all of us.
You bring up Coach Tang there. I'd be remiss to not ask about him specifically, given the first year under his belt now, and what a successful run that was up until last weekend. I would imagine not really a surprise on your part or most others who have been around him, but just your thoughts on the magical run they had in Manhattan this past season.
Yeah, no surprise at all. I mean, zero. And I have text messages to back it up from people that were calling me and asking me for a recommendation. I mean, I believe it with all my heart. And that's the thing that I don't think people can completely come to grips with. And I would tell people this. I'm like, Coach Mills is going to be a really good head coach, man. And Coach Tang is going to be a really good head coach. And Coach Drew is the reason why we were good. So let's not get it twisted. Coach Drew is unbelievable and the reason why everybody is great, but he knows what he's doing. I mean, he's unbelievably smart. He's unbelievably motivated. But when you look at what Coach Tang did this year, and I got kind of a front seat approach just because a guy on their staff, Jerome Dowling, which we call him Reem, was with us for 6 years or 5 years before he went with 6 years before he went with Coach Tang. So, and I got introduced to him by Coach Tang, and that's the reason why we hired him when we first went to Arkansas State. So we were really close as a staff, and Jerome was obviously a big part of that. So I talked to him all year long, and he told me all the things they were doing and how they were doing it, and really gave me a really great perspective of Tang's heart. And you know what his heart is? It's the same thing as Coach. He just loves people well. And he's a really good basketball coach, but it's all founded on his ability to love those people around him. That's what makes that guy unique.
What has your time at North Texas meant to you, and what have you learned about yourself?
Well, one, I will tell you that, you know, always be around great people. When we got here, Dr. Smatras, which our president, and at the time it was Ren Baker was our AD. He's now at West Virginia, and y'all know Jared Mosley's taken over. I mean, there's just you don't get around better people than that, and because you're around a great administration that gives you the resources. I mean, we've been able to have the best record in school's history every year we've been here, and kind of been able to improve the program, and that's a credit to the university and the vision of the university for being great. And that's how it works. I mean, if you have those kind of people in place, you can do it. And then they've allowed us to hire people, and then just how important it is to have the right staff, and just how important it is for everybody to be going the same direction and not caring who gets the credit. I know it's overused and everybody likes to say that's what it is, but that's not how it is all the time. And that's the part I think that I've loved the most about being at North Texas. And then obviously our family gets to be involved. My dad comes just about to every practice. My two brothers and sister basically come to every game. My 4 kids my other family members come to more games than my kids do because they have too many activities they're involved in. But just a real blessing to be able to do it with people you love, and with an administration that gets it.
Does your dad give you notes?
I'll tell you what he does. He's really encouraging, which I found, but he has pulled the dad card me on a couple times, and I've loved it. And he's done it at the right time. And I'll tell you one story. There was a player named Thomas Bell, and we were playing at the ESPN event in Orlando in the preseason, and we lost to Kansas. And then we turned around and lost to Miami, and that was last year. And those two teams ended up playing each other in the Elite Eight. So come to find out, it was actually 2 quality games, but we lost both of them, and we should have beat Miami. We thought Kansas was a little tougher game, and we were going into the Drake game. I was really hard on Thomas. And on the way home, my dad was there the entire weekend. He actually stayed in the hotel room with us, and he sent me a message, a long one of those text messages you got to keep scrolling through. And he just said, "Hey, I really think you were too hard on him, and I think you need to apologize to him." So sure enough, that was the first thing I did when I went back. I apologized to Thomas, told him how much I loved him, and he agreed that I was too hard on him. Felt like we could do things better. And that's when we went on a run. I think we maybe won our last 17 games or something crazy like that, last 15. So went on a really good run, and that just goes to show you I think it takes humility to be a dad that loves their kid well, but also I'm thankful because he was willing to say some things that maybe not a lot of people were willing to say, and it made a huge difference.
What's in the water in Conference USA basketball?
Man, I'll tell you what. You know what it is? I think there was a continuity with teams, and you know this, Smokey. The teams that are able to keep talent and have experience are the teams that win. I mean, everybody says you got to be older, but I think being older and having a team that's been together, you cannot replace that when it comes to winning because there's a respect for it. And when you look at the best team in our league, it's FAU, and FAU returned everybody. All of their guys that play were on their team last year. Now, all of them but one played. One of them, I think, was sitting out and didn't play. But everybody was on that roster, and we beat them at their place in a stretch that they could have won the conference championship. And they came back this season determined. They obviously have an unbelievable coach. Dusty May does a phenomenal job. He loves people well. He's kind of in that same cloth as Coach Drew and Coach Tang and Coach Mills, where they really care about people first, and it's evident in their success. But, it's like that's what it takes. And I think our league has a lot of respect and enough resources to keep great talent. And it was ultra competitive, and I think we sharpened each other as the year went on and prepared us for postseason play.
Are we just noticing it more because of coaches like Coach Drew and Coach May? And, I think of Jamie Chadwell in college football, and it's probably, Ted Lasso kind of coaches the nice guy, people first coaches that are out there now, because I do think that for a long time people kind of got fixated on guys like Bobby Knight, who was, tough as nails and all that. But are we seeing it more, or is it maybe more of a renaissance for that kind of coaching?
Great question. I think that's probably, I'll tell you what it is. I think it's people being genuine to who they are and what their real heart is. I think there was just a time where everybody felt like this is what you had to be like if you were a coach, and maybe it wasn't true to who they really were, and they're able to find ways to motivate and love people in a way that's genuine. And I think that's what those guys do to me. And that's what Dusty did. I mean, I've seen Dusty get fired up now. I've seen Coach Drew get fired up too. Y'all know that. I mean, he's got a way to him that when he's determined to do something, he is not going to be told no. And the work ethic behind that, I think, is what separates those guys. And Dusty's work ethic is unbelievable, and Coach Drew's is second to none. I know no one like him. And Coach Tang's in that. I mean, like Coach Tang would be in the office at 2 a.m. with us, playing One Shining Moment. I'm like, dude, I want to go home. So I mean, that's what I'll tell you. There's a relentlessness to loving people that I think is genuine, and that's where it's not just, hey, you're going to do what I tell you to do because I'm the coach. I think those days are over. You know, I think there's those shortcuts. Now there has to be like a depth to the relationships and people. It's not to say those people didn't have depth. I just know that I think there's a genuineness that's needed to coach these days.
Well, you're going to play UAB. They won against Utah Valley last night. You've beaten two power, so-called. I hate that word, especially in men's basketball. That's been proven again this year. But you get a chance. You've beaten Oklahoma State, now Wisconsin. Your thoughts about the championship game with UAB?
Yeah, we've had 3 really good games. You know, the reason we lost that last one, we got down 22-2 to start it and cut it to 4 before the half and cut it to 2 late in that game. Just can't give them a big run to give ourselves a chance. We played some great basketball games. We had actually a crazy run of games where no one had won a game at home between our 2 programs. It was wild. I think it was like 3 straight road games for each team until we had won that last home game before the conference tournament. So just a very physical team that is great defensively and can score off their defense, but a phenomenal offensive rebounding team. They got a lot of weapons that can score, and they got Jelly Walker, who was a dynamic player who had one of his best games he's had or against us of any player. And so really got our hands full defensively and rebounding, and we're going to have to do a better job defensive rebounding if we want to win tomorrow night.
Grant, how much better are you now as a head coach than you were even back when you were at a junior college winning a national championship?
Well, I'll tell you, a lot of the formula and the things that you believe in are the same. The grit, the fight, the competitiveness, the will to win, the hard practicing, the dedication to the details, all those things I think are translating. Where you find the ability to get better is utilizing your staff. And, you know, in junior college, I drove the bus. I made sandwiches. You know, you coached the team. And then afterwards, you set up the practice plan for bowling that you taught the next day. You know, I mean, it's just so many things you do where now I think what you get better as you grow as being a head coach is more about how to utilize the strengths of all those people around you to give your team the best chance to be supported. And that's where I'll tell you I've been able to grow the most, because I've just been able to be around so many great people that have great talents, and that we can do it together and finding a way to build it together.
What kind of sandwiches? Look, Coach, if this is a talent you have, I mean, recruiting is tough. If you can make a better sandwich than the next guy, you might have an edge.
No, I got to be honest. It was replicated through mass assembly. It was PB&J, man. You just slap it on and keep going.
Just go get
had some good PB&Js, man.
Go get a bunch of boxes of Uncrustables. I just now learned about them recently. It's the greatest thing in the invention of food. Did your experience in the NIT with Coach Drew and Baylor help you with the experience this week and this year?
Oh, no doubt about it. It was tremendous help. I mean, I think what's the difference, and the experience, honestly, of being in it the year before, I think the experience of trying to help your team overcome I don't want to say it this way, but it's the disappointment of not playing in the NCAA tournament. That's difficult, you know, and I remember Coach talking about that and us doing it, but I think the rallying of that and how important that was, I didn't give it enough credence the first time, which was last year. We beat Texas State at home and then played Virginia in an overtime game. Felt like we could have won that game. We had an injury in the second half that really was difficult to overcome. But this time we turned the page quicker, and I felt like we were better prepared for how to attack the process. but it all helped build, our ability to help coach our guys and love them well. And Coach definitely had a huge impact on that and the run to winning it when we were at Baylor.
Grant, final question. Can you put a dollar figure on how much of this attention being in these games has put on North Texas and also on you yourself?
Yeah, ultimately there is one. I'm not smart enough to figure it out, but I do know that there's a lot of excitement, and for good reason. North Texas basketball has just begun, I think, a rise that has no ceiling. And with our location and a university that has over 4,000 students, we're our own system. We have a great area in Denton that has a small community, but next to the Dallas-Fort Worth area metroplex. Just a lot of hope and promise, and really excited about the future of Mean Green basketball.
Thank you, Grant. Appreciate it as always. We appreciate it. Good luck on Thursday night against UAB. Ought to be a heck of a game, a great showcase for the programs and the Conference USA, as is the Final Four with Florida Atlantic. We do appreciate your time so much.
Smokey, love you guys, man. Appreciate all you're doing for everybody. You're the best.
Thank you very much. Soon. Paul Mills will join us.